So this is a great talk, if I do say so myself. Partly because I've given it 3 or 4 times before, 3 times. This is the New Year's resolutions, setting goals talk. And who remembers my goals from last year? You remember one of the goals from last year?
You were going to try to eat vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And also
Eat vegan.
Yes, and meditate for an hour every day.
Meditate for an hour every day. Mm-hmm. How do you think I did?
Probably very well.
I did very well. Do you think that I did it absolutely perfectly the whole year?
Perhaps not.
Not this year. Usually I do. Not this year. I was, what are you doing? You going live now that I'm talking about? It's working. So the first part of setting the goal is to think of something that you want to do, something that's important to you. Don't just like arbitrarily choose something. So for me, I chose last year, I want to eat vegan all year. And it's mostly for me from a health perspective. I just want to put in the best possible food to my body. And the next step of it is to make it not just, general. It's got to be specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and timely. And there are a few different ways that you can look at that, but it's the SMART goal acronym. So when I say eat vegan all year, it's actually pretty self-explanatory. It's literally just don't eat anything that's animal product the entire year. And this is not something that I think everybody has to do. I personally think that it's a great healthy diet. But I'll tell you what is great about it is that it is simple. It's not like paleo. Well, this is kind of paleo, but I don't know if cavemen ate potatoes and like all this stuff. It's pretty easy. It's pretty simple. So I was just, okay, well, I'll get back into that later on. But if you take something else like meditation. So another goal that I've made this goal every year for the last 16 years is to meditate every day. And I'll give myself a little bit of leeway where it's like as long as I meditate within a 24-hour period, I'm good. And I did that. It would be almost impossible for me to not meditate every single day because we meditate in class every single day. So it's like if I wake up on Sunday, I win. But it's not enough to just say, I want to meditate every day. Because that could be, I'm going to meditate for 5 seconds or I'm going to meditate for 5 hours. And so you want to have some kind of an idea of like, how long do I want to meditate for? And so for me this year it was an hour. And most days I meditated an hour. Some days I meditate more than an hour. Some days I meditate a little bit less than an hour. But I feel good about it. And what's great about having a goal is it gives you something to go for, even if you don't necessarily make it every single time. But the specific part of a meditation goal is, you got to know how you're going to sit, what you're trying to do when you're actually meditating. The measurable part would be both, I guess it would be, you can measure it by saying, what is it to meditate? I have to be able to measure that, so it's sitting and, going back to the breath in my case. And it could be the amount of time. Achievable is, can I sit and meditate every day? Yes, I've done that for about 16 years. Can I do it for an hour? Yes. I haven't done that every day for 16 years, but I've done it for quite a few years, an hour a day. And reasonable, kind of the same idea. Timely kind of goes back to the time idea. So it is, for me, an hour a day or within a 24-hour period, and it's an hour. So I just have a timer on my phone, and it tells me when I've done it for an hour. I don't eyeball it, and I don't second guess. If I don't think that I for sure did it for an hour because something went on with my timer, I just do extra to make absolute sure. And it's the goals that I really like are the simple goals that are very doable. And it's not like it's easy. Meditating, doing anything for an hour every day is very tough, very difficult. But what's doable is like, it doesn't require me to be someplace else in my life than where I am right now. So a lot of the goals that I have are, it's going to just require me to really button down and really be the best version of who I am right now. So, health, eating, and meditation and all of that is it. And then I like the other kind of goal. The other kind of goal is that which requires you to be a different person. So this is something that's not a reasonable goal, it's an unreasonable goal. And this is like, if I were to say, this year I'm going to write a book. Well, I've never written a book before. I don't even know what that entails, really. I assume you have to sit down every day and write, and you have to do a lot of work, and to get it published and all of that stuff, it would take me doing a lot of research and talking to people, and also just, putting myself in a different state of mind, I think. So I'm sure you can all think of something that is reasonable. This is something that I know that I can do. Maybe I've done something almost like, I've meditated every day for 45 minutes, so jumping to an hour is not crazy. But then you can think of something that's a little bit more insane. Something that is really going to take you being a different person. Like, I don't know I'm going to climb Mount Everest this year. I'm not going to climb Mount Everest this year, but that's an example. And it's a goal that when you think it, you start to immediately doubt whether or not it's possible. And then when you say it, you should get like a feeling, like a tingly feeling, like, ooh, that's a little bit exciting, a little bit over the top, like I'm not sure. And then in that goal, in the process of achieving it, we change. So for some people, and this was me in the beginning of practice, just doing something that's pretty reasonable, but doing it every single day, that kind of discipline, I did not have. In fact, before I started martial arts, I was like a B, C, D student in school. I did not do my homework and I did not study. And my parents asked me, did you do your homework tonight? And I said, yes. I lied to them so that I could watch TV. It's a bad kid. and then I started doing martial arts, and I found for the first time in my life, like, I actually want to try at this and I want to get better at this. And I just started listening to Sifu Brown. And one of the things that I got was, you have to be disciplined. You have to have the ability to set out to do something and do it. And it's going to be something that is often difficult. Something that is going to mean that you have to set aside other things in your life. And I got that for the first time. And then I moved into college and I started just actually studying and doing my homework and trying, because I was just, for me, it was this is a way to cheat, you guys, in life, is you just make everything part of your martial arts practice. So I cheat in life because everything is part of martial arts for me. And doing school work started to become practice. And so I said, basically, how would I be doing this if it were in the dojo? Or how would I be doing this if Sifu Brown were watching me right now? Or how would I do this if this were me learning a form or practicing sparring or whatever? And so that I just put that kind of intensity and work ethic into it, and it was like magic. Just became easy to do things, because it's a muscle really that we work, the will and the discipline to set a goal and to achieve it. It's something that requires practice. But once you've done it enough, it becomes fairly simple, fairly easy. But then you'll find that when you set a goal, and a New Year's resolution is basically no different from a goal. A resolution might be something that you're going to do for an entire year, or it's going to be something that, every day I'm doing this or whatever. And a goal is sometimes might have a different kind of end date or a finiteness to it. But it's the same basic idea. And like usually the more dramatic and epic and difficult the resolution or the goal, the more likely it is that we get tripped up in the beginning. And so some of you guys know this already. I set this goal of being vegan every year, and the first thing that I did was eat a piece of milk chocolate. And then I went, okay, so reset the clock now. I'm starting again. Starting on January 1st, 8 a.m. I'm vegan for the rest of the year. And I did pretty well for months. And then I went to a friend's bachelor party and found myself at a steakhouse where there was literally nothing vegan on the menu, and I could have just not eaten, but then we had some friends who were paying for it, and so I just kind of in my head said, well, the polite thing to do is to eat this T-bone. So I did it. And people ask me like, what, you were vegan for like 3 months and then you ate like a 32-ounce steak? How did you not die? I don't know, honestly. There's something magic about my stomach, but I did it. And then most people at that point would just say, well, this year's shot. I mean, I ate a steak. That's different from eating a piece of milk chocolate. But the very next day, we went out to a German restaurant and everyone's eating like, what do you eat? Bratwurst and schnitzel and like every kind of delicious looking meat that you can possibly imagine. And I'm like, nope. There are 2 vegan things on this menu, and I'm going to just eat a lot of those things. It was like Brussels sprouts, and I had them cook it with oil instead of butter, and like rice. I don't know. And I said, I'm back on it. And then a few other times, throughout the year, it's like something comes up where it's, I slip and I decide, well, tonight I'm just going to kind of give into it. And then the next day I wake up and I start again. But most people don't do that. Most people, it's the first chance of bailing that shows up. It's like, I'm out, thank God. I don't have to do that anymore for the rest of this year. I can start again next year. And then some years I just decide like, well, this is the thing that I'm doing and I'm going to go hardcore on it. There's absolutely going to be no ifs, ands, or buts. And those are tough, but you get a sense of power from making a statement and a goal that is absolute and then actually achieving that. To set out and say, I'm going to meditate an hour every single day, and then get to the end of the year, and having done that, you recognize like, oh my God, I can do anything. Because imagine if you just took an hour a day and put it towards almost anything that you want to accomplish. I mean, you would do things. You would get places. So I highly recommend that you start working on this skill. It's a skill. Setting goals and then setting out and achieving them. Part of the skill is when you get derailed to come right back and do the work. So not focus on the result of, I didn't get the whole year of eating vegan, so it's shot. It's not focusing on the result, it's focusing on the work. You get derailed, and what is there to do? Just eat vegan the next day. That's it. You miss a day of meditation, what is there to do? Meditate the next day. It's simple. And then work towards this place of like no excuses, of like an almost irrational, there's a great word that escapes me, like this sense of, I don't care what the consequences are, I'm gonna do this. It's uncompromising. That's the word I've been thinking about for 5 minutes. It's uncompromising. You guys seen the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi? Oh, this is good. None of you have seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi? It's on Netflix. And Jiro, he runs he's an old Japanese man. He runs like one of the most sought after sushi restaurants in the world. And it's in a subway station in Japan. And I forget which one. But Jiro set out and he decided like this is what sushi is. And he has a very specific, pretty simple but specific dream of what sushi is and what a perfect sushi restaurant is. The rice is exactly this way. He does the warm sushi rice, and it's delicious. I've never had it, but I've had warm sushi rice before. The meat, the way that the fish is cut, and the quality of the fish has got to be up to this standard. And even the way that people are behaving in the restaurant, and the way that the food is served, and all of this has got to be this way. And it's not like, well, we didn't do it today, I guess we'll try to do it again tomorrow. It is like you do this or you die trying. There is no tomorrow. It's done this way. And he is absolutely uncompromising with this dream, with this understanding of what sushi is. And I watched that, and I just like a couple of times just started to cry as I'm watching this documentary, because that's what martial arts is to me. And I have an uncompromising view of the way that it should be practiced, and the way that I want it to be in my life, and the way that the school is. And I get that from Sifu Brown, who also has an uncompromising, probably a more uncompromising view than I do. But this is like some next level stuff as a human being, to be uncompromising and to be able to say, this is the way that it is, and to achieve that high level no matter what. And we're not always there. And you might be able to be there with some things in life, but not necessarily all things. My belief is if you can get there with one thing, that you can get there with everything else. But it might take some work to get everything else up to that level. But you probably all have something in your life that is like that. You probably have something that, this is the way that it should be done. This is the way that you can do it. And then you just do it that way. And you've even been practicing doing that thing long enough that it's at the point now where you don't even think about it. And so it's like, well, I brush my teeth. When I brush my teeth, it's not like some days I brush all my teeth and some days I brush half my teeth. I wouldn't have teeth left. It's every day I brush all of my teeth. And it is like I don't have to think about it now. I go into the bathroom with the sense of toothbrushing, and it happens, and I come back out and the teeth are brushed. It's not like I have to think about it now. What do I do with the toothpaste? Oh yeah, it happens. And really to be able to get to a point where the big, meaningful, important things in life are like that is great. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to happen with years of practice. So let's practice that tonight with our meditation. We're going to be uncompromising. And by that, I mean you're going to sit totally still, like a rock, and you are going to have your attention on the breath the entire time. And if your mind even begins to think about wandering, you just bring it back to the breath. And it's not one of those meditations where you sit and it's like, it's enough that I'm sitting, all right? The year's almost over. This is the meditation that is going to do it for me, and I'm uncompromising with that. I'm uncompromising with my thoughts and with my attention and with my effort. Sit comfortably.